Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so happy to see all your beautiful faces today. Thank you so much for coming out to the Robbins house. And our program on What's the Slave is the 4th of July and a dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence. So we have several readers with us today, but before we get started, we're going to do some very quick housekeeping. First of all, restrooms. Hopefully everyone has been hydrating. It's going to be a very hot day today. If after all that hydration, you should need to use the ladies or the gentlemen's or the unisex bathroom or the family restroom, they are all at the little house just across the street. The park service is maintaining all of our restrooms across the street, so please feel free to jump up and run over there, watch for traffic. It's a little hard to see around the barriers over there, okay? We also have water and a few other beverages at this green table where Maria is standing. Please make sure if you get hot and thirsty that you grab yourself a cup of water. We don't want anyone passing out. It's a very hot day. The sun will also be moving. So the individuals who are along here, you may end up getting a little bit more sun than you were hoping for towards the end of the program. Just a little warning. If that should happen, you may want to readjust yourselves over there. Okay? You can either do it now or you can do it once the sun starts moving in your direction. Okay. So we're going to start off with a moment from Cat Simons. Oh, I'm so sorry. One more thing. Today we actually have a recording, two recordings going on. One that's for the Robbins house and one that's for there. Both cameras are trained directly on the podium, so your faces will not be in it unless you come up to the podium. So we will be making a call later in the program for anyone who would like to participate in the communal reading of Frederick Douglass's What to the Slave is the 4th of July. So if you come up to the podium, you will be on one of these cameras, just as an FYI. So if you do not want to be on camera, please do not come up to the podium. Okay. And now we will begin. Hello, can everyone hear me? All right. Aspi Kwasan, Natasui, Panekinukesu, Ka Nenuka Nahahiganse, Wuchi, Rhode Island. Hello everyone, my name is Kat. My English name is Kat. I am from the Narragansett Nation of so-called Rhode Island, and I am here at this point to give a little prayer and a little opening so that we can acknowledge that right now we are on stolen land. We are on the land of my relatives, the Massachusetts and Nipmuc people, and they have been displaced. So I just wanted to take a moment to offer up a prayer in Natick, which is one of the indigenous languages of this area. So you know what I'd like everyone to do if you can? Just put your hand on the ground. For Native people, it's really important that we stay connected to the earth, that we remember the earth is not ours, the land is not ours, none of these resources are ours, and it's our job to be stewards of it. And so, thank you. Okay. Nushun Kisakat, Wanita Patamanach Kuisuang, Payat Muchkut Katasatamuang, Tanan Taman and Najo Kate Namekesukat, Asikesu Kokish Patukunega, Shasemanea, Yukesukat, Aquantama Inea, Numacheseongach, Meane Machenehi Koyaki, Aquay Sakopagone, Kutragonet, Webe Pakobusinon Uch Machitut, Nahuche Katasatamuang, Kataton, Medicasuang, Sasumuang, Echeme, Kamicheme, Aho. Thank you, Kat. So now I will be, just as a warning, I will actually be transitioning back in time. I want to welcome you all today to the Robbins house, which is my home. My name is Ellen Garrison Jackson, and I was born here in the Robbins house in 1823. I come from a family that is descended from enslaved people, including Caesar Robbins, who our house is now named for, who was a participant in both the French and Indian War and the Revolutionary War. My father also escaped from slavery in New Jersey. Do we have anyone from New Jersey here? Did any of you all learn in school that there was slavery in New Jersey?
No. We were above the Mason-Dixon line.
Exactly. So today's program is very similar in some ways to many of the programs that have been going on around Concord for many, many years. All of the different types of talks and conversations about the importance of ending slavery. So today we will be having a conversation not only about our nation's founding and its founding documents, but also what were these founding fathers thinking and who were they thinking of? When they claimed freedom, did they claim freedom for all? And we also want to be thinking about, because there were many times, many opportunities for Frederick Douglass to come to the Robbins, to come to Concord and speak about the importance of ending slavery. And so this is very similar to some of the programs that he would have done, or some of the speeches that he would have done when he came here. So even though I was born here in the 1820s, and we had slavery in New England, Massachusetts, for the most part, was beginning to already end slavery. And so I was actually born free, and so was my mother. And not only was I born free, but I was also educated in the local schools. In fact, my family, we were some of the only colored students in the school. So in a way, we actually were integrating those schools. During my youth, I not only was a member of I not only participated in the integration of these schools, but I also participated by integrating a bicentennial parade, and my family and I signed petitions against the mistreatment of the Cherokee. So I come from a family that has both seen and experienced injustice and passed down stories of injustice and the importance of fighting against it. And not only fighting against it, but figuring out what are the ways that our laws provide us with protections from injustice, and making sure that these injustices do not continue. So after my childhood here in Concord, I actually moved to Boston, where I became a very active participant in anti-slavery movements, and I met William Lloyd Garrison and Maria Weston Chapman and many other abolitionists and anti-slavery activists. And all of these people are doing everything they can to not only end slavery, but provide more and equal rights for people who look like me. After the Civil War ends, I actually moved down to Maryland, to a little small town there, and began teaching among the freed people of the South. Do we have any teachers here in the audience? A few teachers? What grades do you teach? You teach at the university. Wonderful. And how about you over here? Yes?
I work with teachers.
You work with teachers?
Teaching students to ask their own questions.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, thank you. Yes?
High school.
High school. Any other teachers? Yes? High school? Elementary school. So, do any of you have both elementary students, high school students, college students, and people with full heads of gray hair all in your classroom at the same time? Yes. What? Yes. So, after the end of the Civil War, there were so many formerly enslaved people who couldn't wait to become educated, and so they raced into the classrooms. And my scholars were equal to them all. I had all of the young ones, all the way up to the older ones, all in my classroom at times. And it was difficult, but I knew how important it was. And I wanted to make sure that my students had everything they had to prepare them for their lives in freedom. Now, during this time in Maryland, I sometimes had to go to the city of Baltimore. Has anyone ever been to the city of Baltimore? Did you all take the train? Did anyone take the train? Yes, you took the train? So, I actually took the train to Baltimore, and I would occasionally come back home here to Concord on the train. And there were a couple of incidents that occurred to me when I was waiting for my train that hurt me deeply, and were very memorable. One of them was that I actually went into, in 1866, I went inside the ladies' sitting area of the Baltimore train station to await my train after doing a little shopping in town. And while I was sitting there, a gentleman came up to me and said, "You can't sit here." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "You can't sit here. Colored women can't sit here." And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. It's 1866. The Civil War is over. The 13th Amendment has passed, freeing the enslaved people. The 14th Amendment, we have the 1866 Civil Rights Act, which ensures that I have equal rights. I should be allowed to sit here. And he said, "No, you can't sit here." And actually, he physically removed me and another teacher of color, another colored woman and I, and he kicked us out into the streets. And we were injured in our persons, as well as in our hearts, after this. And so because of this, we actually ended up suing the train station, because we were discriminated against. We were American citizens, and therefore we should have been able to sit there just as freely as any other person. And so, unfortunately, our lawsuit was thrown out, not because we weren't ready, not because we weren't available, not because we didn't have a good case, but because supposedly the sheriff who was supposed to come collect us to go to court and be witnesses in this case supposedly could not figure out where we were. And so they ended up throwing out the case. But not before the Freedmen's Bureau was notified, and not before it made the Baltimore Sun, the local newspaper. And so we actually have a piece of the copy of that newspaper right inside. So I hope you will check that out later when you have an opportunity. And you know what? I did not stop fighting. I did not stop fighting for my rights as an individual citizen. And I hope that none of you will stop fighting. Today, we will have a reading of one of our nation's founding documents, the Declaration of Independence. It is a radical, and dare I say it, revolutionary document. And I hope that you will see there are many ways to read and understand this document. And so we will have several guests here, each of whom will be representing different eras in our nation's revolutionary efforts. So, we actually have a Revolutionary War patriot here. We have a member of the Indian sovereignty movement. Sometime far into the future, long after I have gone, we have the civil rights movement. And the Black Power movement. And the movement for Black lives. And at the end of our program today, we will have a beautiful singing of the national anthem from a young Colin Kaepernick. Now, our program today may make you uncomfortable. It may make you angry. It may make you excited. It may rev you up. We want